Today everything I feel is urgent. Swept onto the tide, I got to surface. Burn another pound, dodging my purpose. G on G, circling. If I sink, only hurting me.
Today on the podcast, we are featuring the Boorloo, Perth electro-pop artist Grace Sanders. Learn more about her and listen to her track, Attachment Theory.
Welcome to the Eat, Sleep, Breathe Music podcast, where we talk all things music. I'm your host, Jeanette Kimsel, blogger and music enthusiast. Let's get started with today's episode.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Eat, Sleep, Breathe Music podcast. I'm your host, Jeanette Kimsel. For those of you just joining us, this is the podcast where I talk about different musicians and how their music affects me, and then I play a track of theirs for you to listen to. So you can check it out, form your own opinion as well, and if you're so interested in sharing your thoughts on this track and artist, I'll have details at the end of the show where you can leave your comment. So today I'm chatting about Grace Sanders, who is a singer-songwriter artist from Perth, Australia, which also is referred to as Boorloo, according to her biography. And this was an artist that was kind of new to me. I had not heard about her, but she has been around for quite a while. Just doing some digging on the internet, I found that her first song was released back in 2017, and that was called Impress Me. And it seemed to have a jazzy feel, from what I gathered about listening to the song and then reading some stuff about different reviews and things about her music online. And, it seems like she was very well received even from the beginning. And it's really no wonder because, listening to this track that I'm going to play later for you today, this is one of the couple first songs that I had heard from her. I had heard another song, but I wanted to feature this song because this was a newer track that came out around mid-September, and she actually has an album following up at the end of October. So I thought this would be more of a timely song to promote, and that's why I'm chatting about this track, Attachment Theory, today. So I didn't really know too much about Grace Sanders. I was looking into her background. I got a bio on her. Her bio on YouTube also said that she combines elements of jazz, folk, soul, and classic rock to create her own original authentic sound. And as I said, this first track, the Impress Me, that was back in 2017, did kind of have that jazzy, rock classic vibe to it. While her newer songs are somewhat of a departure from that sound, at least in my opinion, the two tracks she put out earlier this year and the track I'm going to be featuring later, Attachment Theory, they sound like a little bit different. They kind of focus more on electronica, there's a pop element to it. It also has some bass lines, some R&B grooves, some psychedelica. And this is not a bad thing. If anything, it shows how she has variation and creativity as an artist. And I really like the diversity in her music and how, even these three new songs are similar yet different. They all kind of have the electronic piece going for them, which makes them kind of all similar. And then, I would say that you have these three tracks and they all have different kind of tempos and bass lines to them. And you start with the song Nothing, which is kind of a slow electronic tempo track with these soothing grooves. And then you have Anymore, which is completely the opposite and has this high dance worthy bass line that it's just the dichotomy to Nothing's low tempo sound. And then I would say that Attachment Theory is probably kind of in the middle of those two tempo-wise. It's not a super fast track, but it's not a super slow track either. It has this in-between tempo that would be able to be danced to or just enjoyed while sitting and listening to music in your room. The song opens with these slow tempo guitars, and there's a hint of vocal harmonies. At least that's what I kind of get when I start listening to the track. And it just melds together so beautifully, and it hits the listener and just keeps you listening. And then at about 20 seconds, Grace Sanders comes in with her heartwarming vocals, and she's crooning about reminiscing about this lost relationship. And Attachment Theory reminds me a little bit of the song Violent by Carol's Daughter. The guitars in the beginning are a little similar, and it also has this very earnest storytelling that just evokes all this emotion in the listener, which I get from that song as well. And it just kind of keeps you on the hook of what's to come next, what's the story about. It's just very compelling lyricism that makes you kind of like want to listen closely so you can hear what's to come next. The song was a collaboration between Sanders and Ezekiel Padmanabhan. Together they have created a really special song. Not only does it have like a very interesting and dynamic sound to it, but it also has this very meaningful lyric. And the whole song was kind of built around a popular psychological topic that the song's title was derived from. Known as attachment theory, it's been something that's been trending on TikTok and has also been quite the hot topic of conversation. It explores how relationships form during childhood, with giving and receiving love inform our relationships with others while we continue to grow in a kind of ripple effect. And I was kind of interested in learning more about this, so I did a little research and I came across an article on Very Well Mind that talked about the theory. According to the article, this theory focuses on bonds, particularly long-term bonds between people such as parent and child or between romantic partners. Research in the article also suggests that failure to form secure attachments early in life can also have a negative effect on behavior later in childhood and throughout life, affecting all of your relationships. The article said there were 4 types of attachment styles: ambivalent attachment, avoidant attachment, disorganized attachment, and secure attachment. Ambivalent attachment is when children become very distressed when a parent leaves. It's usually uncommon and affects only about 7 to 15% of people. It's usually a result of poor parental availability. The children cannot depend on their primary caregiver to be there when they need them. And then avoidant attachment is children who avoid parents or caregivers, showing no preference between a caregiver and a complete stranger. This attachment style might be the result of abusive or neglectful caregivers. Children who are punished for relying on a caregiver will learn to avoid seeking help in the future. Disorganized attachment is when children display a confusing mix of behaviors, seeming disoriented, dazed, or confused. They may avoid or resist the parent. Lack of a clear attachment pattern is likely linked to inconsistent caregiver behavior. In such cases, parents may serve as both a source of comfort and fear, leading to disorganized behavior. Secure attachment is when children who can depend on their caregivers show distress when separated and joy when reunited. They will be upset, but they will also feel assured that the caregiver will return. When frightened, children with secure attachment will be comfortable seeking reassurance from caregivers. This is the most common attachment style. And children who are securely attached as infants tend to develop stronger self-esteem and are better self-reliant as they grow older. These children also tend to be more independent, perform better in school, have successful social relationships, and experience less depression and anxiety. I didn't do a ton of research and dive deep into the topic or conversations that were being had around attachment theory. I was kind of afraid of falling down an internet hole and going off on some tangent that might not really serve a purpose for means of reviewing this track, but I do think that this is a really interesting topic, and I would like to kind of explore it further on my own to learn, if anything that happened to me early on may have caused some of the idiosyncrasies around being such an introvert and having anxiety. It would be cool to know if the way I am today is because of something that happened in the past. And Grace has used this as a point of reference in the song, saying that the way our relationships and breakups in adulthood can mirror some of those early experiences and become an avenue for reflecting on the version of ourselves we become in the context of others. So whatever our attachments were in childhood may have a bearing on our relationships in the present, and also how we see ourselves, and not only how we see ourselves, but how others kind of see us. So it's all like very tangled up. It's a very interesting theory to mull over and think about. But just going back to the song's lyrics, I want to note that it's quite poignant. It's very entertaining and funny. In the song, it talks about how even a new relationship can be affected by past ones. She goes on to say, "Nights still get me heavy, I don't know why. Someone new holds me through, still don't feel quite as good as you." It's like there's this lingering emotional hold from the relationships, and it could be due to past experiences. Alternatively, it could also be something else. It could just be that you want that person because, there's that physical attraction and good sex. At the end of the song, she has this really whimsical humor. It goes, honestly, I think I'm just missing the dick, message ya on the rebound. So it's like when this relationship she's not really feeling is over, she's going to go back to that other person maybe because, they had good dick. So, it's interesting too, because then the line after that kind of goes, zenith to abyss, it's always like this, sadness can birth bliss, gravity brings you back down. This pairing of lyrics shows how the relationship might not work on physical attraction alone. Since zenith is powerful and abyss is dismal and despair, it shows things going from good to bad. But then sadness can birth bliss shows good things can come from sorrow. But the overall end result may not be a healthy relationship, because in reality, the truth comes out and it may not be the best situation to be in. Attachment theory offers a lot to listeners, both musically and lyrically. It's no wonder Grace has been getting so much love from the blogosphere. She's had write-ups and interviews in outlets including Milky Milky Milky, Amplify, Triple J on Earth, The Partay, AAA Backstage, Names Mag, Out Now Magazine, Scenester, Hypeland, Pillar Rats, Tone Deaf, CG Live, Rawing in the Pit, Media, Sound Doctrine, NME, Cool Accidents, Acid Stag, and Record of the Resonance, to name a few. And I'll leave links to these in the show notes if you want to check out these other features. Attachment Theory is off her upcoming Nothing is Personal EP due out October 28th, and her music is streaming across various platforms including Spotify, Amazon, SoundCloud, and Bandcamp. In case you're interested in listening to some of her other tracks, I can leave links to these in the show notes. Now, without further ado, here is Attachment Theory by Grace Sanders.
Clearly not right.
Today everything I feel is urgent. Swept under the tide, I got to surface. Burn another pound, dodging my purpose. G on G, circling. If I sink, only hurting me. Every little impulse get me more stressed. Head wrapped up in clouds, should watch my footsteps. Ashamed of all the time I lose to wasting. Stay in bed, left on red. Always said echoes in my head. See, I try to forget the way it felt before I left. Think of me, think of us, think of our time. Scared it gave you all, but should it just been mine? Lately I choose to believe love can be secure and free. Think of me, think of us, think of our time. Afraid of wasting all the best years of my life. Saw you change your hair and got a new ride. Just switched up my look, I got a new vibe. Nights still get me heavy, I don't know why. Someone new, hold me through, still don't feel quite as good as you. Everyone I meet keep at a distance. Anxiety spirals into resistance. Hating on myself for feeling listless. No one's here, just my fear. Build a wall tall within my mind. See, I try to forget the way it felt before
would love to know what you think about Grace Sanders and her track Attachment Theory. You can tell us in a comment on the podcast webpage. You can also leave an audio comment at the link in the episode summary. If you're looking for more information on Grace Sanders, you can check out her Bandcamp page, gracesanders.bandcamp.com. That is gracesanders.bandcamp.com. You can also like and follow her on Facebook and Instagram at the handle Grace I Sanders. That is GRACEISANDERS. She is also on TikTok at the handle Grace III Sanders. That is GRACE, then 3 I's, then SANDERS. If you're looking for more new music, be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you get the latest updates on our artist features. You can also find more music features on our website at www.eatsleepbreathemusic.com. That is EATSLEEPBREATHEMUSIC.com. Thanks for listening and see you in the next episode.
Thanks so much for listening to the Eat, Sleep, Breathe Music podcast. To find new music and learn more about what we do, you can check out our website at www.eatsleepbreathemusic.com.